This is Daphne Mayo. I am a maker of images, that is, a sculptor. But ever since my childhood, I have been addicted to scribbling with a pencil, and the results were not so good as the children of today. When I was a child, I had asthma, and the doctors told my mother not to bother sending me to school. And that suited me very well, because it gave me unlimited time for scribbling. And later I went to the technical college, and after a time there I won a scholarship and went to England. I think that was those were my early years. My family were interested in the arts. My father was a pianist and also drew very well, and I had a cousin who was quite a famous cartoonist on Punch, H.M. Bateman. When I was in England, I went to the Royal Academy, a place where you didn't get much training, but wonderful facilities were given, and plenty of scholarships inside the school. And I was lucky enough to win them all, and I won a scholarship to Italy, and was there for a couple of years, and of course that was really the beginning of my life. It was a travelling scholarship, and I had complete liberty to do what I wanted. All I had to do was to send my sketchbooks back to the academy. But I travelled from Naples in the south to Rome, Florence, right up to Venice, of course, and across to Milan, and had a wonderful couple of years. At the end of that time I had to return. My mother was ill, so I had to return to Australia. I arrived back just as the town hall was building, and almost immediately I was asked if I would carve the tympanum of the town hall. The tympanum is a triangular shape above the entrance colonnade. This one was 9 feet high and about 50 or 60 feet long. Absolutely inexperienced as far as a work of that nature was concerned. I said, certainly. And so had a very enjoyable 2 or 3 years. It was rather wonderful working on a building, of course. Meeting all the workers, all the different branches of workers. And, anyhow, it's a wonderful experience. I have been asked how I set about a job. The nature of the commission, of course, has quite a lot to do with this. I have been asked if I make sketches. Well, I think every artist in the first place works the idea out in his head, but then always before starting the final thing, I always make not one sketch but quite a number to make quite sure that I'm getting as much out of this particular idea as I can. Also, with these things, if carving a large work or even a small work, it's impossible to make alterations after you start. And so you want a very clear idea of just exactly what you're going to do before you begin. It's the same if you work for bronze. If you work for bronze, you model the work in clay first. And of course, clay being very heavy and very inert, it has to be supported by iron supports inside. And those supports must be exactly in the right place, because once you start, you can't alter them. You can't put a leg back several inches or raise an arm. It's fixed just where it is, and it's got to be inside. If it's an arm, it has to be right inside the arm. It mustn't stick out in a particular place. What kind of work do I like to do most? Well, that's a very difficult question. I like big work, but I have earned my living by commissions. And when you have a commission, of course, it's somebody else's will that you're working to. But I quite enjoy that too, because it's a problem that you, put your utmost into to work out as successfully as possible. But I have always wanted to do fountains. They wouldn't be commissions. I would do them to my own ideas. And I'm just about, I hope, getting to that stage when I'll be able to do that, to concentrate on fountains. There are two fountains in Sydney that give me very great pleasure. The Archibald fountain, the bronze and the granite, covered with the spray in the morning light, are absolutely glorious, I think in any time of the day, in fact. And the fountain at King's Cross, the El Alamein, isn't it? I think that's the most beautiful fountain. How people can complain that the water splashes out, I don't know. Why they don't walk on the other side of the street, because it's so lovely to look at. I personally am interested in the human form as a motive for sculpture, but I think that, any manifestation of shape in space can be sculpture. Nowadays we don't have to go and quarry our material like Michelangelo did, because all of these materials are to hand. In Sydney there is plenty of very good stone, sandstones and other stones, wonderful clays of different colours to be found all over Sydney, plenty of woods in our forests for carving, and now plastics are coming on the scene. Whether they will ever form a very promising material for art is a matter for the future. Thinking about what I have just said, it sounded a little bit terrific when I said that I had won all the scholarships at the Academy. What I should have said was won them in the sculpture section. There was also a painting section and an architectural section, into which I didn't enter, of course. Also, when I was working on the town hall, I would like to add there were a large band of workers who carved out the rough stuff from my model and prepared it for my final working. The amount of stone was quite a quarry, 9 feet by 55 feet about, and 2 feet in depth. And it was all done in situation where it is, on the top of the town hall. Very often work of this nature is carved on the ground and then hoisted up. But in this particular case, we climbed innumerable very high ladders to get to the position of the stone. The part that was so thrilling to me was the wonderful help and comradeship of all the workers on the job.